Senator McGill, there are 4 bills out there right now that some of those bills deal specifically with Fort Payne, and there's some controversy with those. And I believe there's a couple of bills that deal with additions to the marriage license fee and the CAC. Why don't you talk a little bit about those different bills and where you stand on them and why?
Those are local bills, and the two pertaining to raising fees on marriage. Back during the campaign, myself and quite a few others that were running for office signed a pledge: no new fees, no new taxes on the people of Alabama. And so, in holding true to my word in that pledge, I cannot support a bill that would be in favor of raising a new taxes or a new fee. So therefore, I do have some issue with that. But nevertheless, the one bill that was giving was a $20 increase, giving $15 to the Children's Advocacy Center and $5 to the probate judge's office. What I done there is I went and sat down with the director at the CAC and asked her about her needs, and I'm satisfied that we can address those needs with tax dollars that constituents are already being charged, as opposed to creating a new tax to deal with those needs.
Right. How do you? Well, detractors could say, "Well, Senator McGill's not for the CAC." Talk about that, because we've talked here, and I don't think you're against them. How do you feel about the CAC?
First of all, Fort Payne is very fortunate. DeKalb County is very fortunate to have a CAC. There's only 23 in the state, and with a growing need there, I would hope that someday we'd have a CAC in every county, all 67 counties in the state. But what they do is they work with abused children and parents as well, in providing counsel and education, testing, and in situations where there's concern of a child being abused, but you don't know for sure, and they have professionals who come in and can test that child through a series of questions and et cetera, and some paperwork that would determine what's going on in that child's life, where a teacher or parent may have a concern or grandparent may have a concern. So they play a very vital role in the community. They do a very good job, and they reach out to a lot of children. They perform quite a few counsel sessions every week. And so very fortunate to have them. They do have some legitimate needs. The Children's Abuse and Neglect Department actually funds them a large portion of their budget, and they're looking at facing some cuts this year. And so it's my desire to work with them and keeping them whole, financially speaking. And also legislation that I'm looking at introducing this year that's going to help the Children Abuse and Neglect Department with their funding. And so there's moving some funding around from some departments that are the legislation is sunsetting, and taking that money and putting it in their hands. So I'm very passionate about these type programs that help with abused children.
Right. Okay. The other issue that's out there is over draft beer and keg beer sales in the city of Fort Payne specifically. I believe you stand opposed to that, or maybe not that as much as. Why don't you just talk about where you are on that?
Well, the draft beer sales is legislation that promotes the sale of alcohol, locally speaking, is to me a sensitive issue, and that's not legislation that government should enforce upon its people. To me, this is a decision that needs to be made by the people of Fort Payne, and so I would be more than happy to push for a referendum that would put that on a ballot and give the people a vote on it to decide whether they want to promote alcohol sales in the city of Fort Payne. Whether they do or whether they don't, I think that should be a decision made by the people and not by the legislators.